Hello everyone, hello Wargamers, hello hobbyists, hello whoever ends up watching this. Today I want to talk about ADHD in the Warhammer or Wargaming hobby. Now I've had chats with a couple of community members that I'm close to and I have frequent conversations with and how they feel they may be affecting their opponents across the table and giving them a bad experience when they're not really meaning to. For those who don't know, I have ADHD myself. I found out quite late in life after I had a quite severe anxiety attack at work, passed out, actually needed to go to hospital because I passed out and hit my head and gave myself a concussion from my anxiety attack. But in the end, we got down after some visits and some doctors. I got down to the point that ADHD is the root cause of all my own personal issues. I'm doing much better now. I'm on a path to healing and mending on my own personal front, so there's that. But I wanted to take this time to point out that guy across the table, that girl across the table, that person across the table, that they across the table from you, and how, while you might see these little quirks and these little oddities about that person and how they act. I'll use my own example. Is I have something where I get easily distracted by remembering things. I do this to my wife way too often, where she'll be telling me a story or telling me how a day's gone, and I'll remember something and start telling my own story over the top. But I also do that in Warhammer. I don't know how many times when, a really rare thing has happened, I tell the person across the table that my Skaven Clan Rat champion killed a Black Orc War Boss on 2 wounds one day with his 2 attacks, because everything rolled right for me. Or even more recently, I don't know how many times I told the Cruel Boys rallying story that happened on the channel not too long ago to people on a frequent basis. But these little quirks across the table, you might realize them as, something like me distracting and telling stories. It could be something, like making noises for the models across the table. It could be fidgeting with dice or fidgeting with a tape measure, fidgeting with something across the other side of the table. Even like rubbing their hands, or doing it now, playing with my hands as I'm talking, or scratching a particular part of the body over and over again. It's these things to look out for, that maybe that person across the table isn't actually distracted. They have something going on besides that. And I want to bring awareness to this. Now, they definitely might not be ADHD. It could be ADD. It could be autism, which is another thing that is close to me personally. My daughter is non-verbal autistic, and that's in its own challenges. But I won't pretend I'm any major knowledgeable on anyone with autism. I don't have autism myself. I have ADHD. But also depression and anxiety, how that person's acting. That person might seem like they don't want to be there with depression or anxiety, or they might not feel like talking much, but they might be really enjoying themselves deep down, and your game might be the one thing that they've enjoyed in their whole day. It's about taking that time to look at that person across the other side of the table and trying to give that person the best possible experience, because deep down, they may be trying to give you the best possible experience as well, just in their own way, and they might have their own things going on. That thing about the other person, whether that is a mental health issue or a more neurological divergent issue like ADHD or autism, taking that time out of your day, that person that you might consider odd or even weird across the table. And I know I was certainly a culprit of this in school, where you thought there was those really weird kids at school. And I know now that that's absolutely horrible. I am completely no saint in any of this. I was not the nicest kid to any of those people. I would probably tease them, and I look back and I feel horrible about those sort of things. However, looking at myself now and looking at the tabletop wargaming community, I see so many people with so many similar issues that I now call great friends across the community. And looking at myself, I see maybe I was doing the own things, and the people that were picking on me were probably picking on me for my issues that I had with ADHD, my own hyperfixations on stuff, my own ability to get distracted, and my own, uniqueness or weirdness, whatever you want to call it, or my own oddness. And maybe I wasn't quite as far down as some other people along the road of neurodivergency, or on mental health issues, but I maybe teased that thing before me. And I think a lot of this reflection, as I've learned about my own personal issues and come to grips with, okay, what this is and how this is, and learning to understand people better in my own self, I think it's important that we as a community learn to understand everyone in our community better, because not everyone is wired the same. Not everyone is feeling the same. And we should all take that time to see and to try and just give that best game to the opponent they will appreciate it. You know, I have had my depressive episodes where I've had friends come around and give me a game, and I really have not felt that great before the game. I've cancelled games on friends before, you know, when I've not felt up to the task of playing the game. But in the end, like, my wife sometimes forces me to go out and play the game. And in the end, I come back feeling so great because I've had a friend over, I've played a game. I've maybe not given the best experience I can to them that I could when I'm my best self, but I've tried to give the best game to my opponent. And them just coming over and giving the game has meant the absolute world to me. Now, that's what I'm... Anyway, I don't really know there's much more point to my thing than take that time to give the best game to your opponent. They will always be trying to do the best for you. Now, there are always people that are, you know, there will always be that guys in the community. But I would take the time to look at that person who's maybe not talking much in your game. Maybe he's hyper-focused on the game. There may be more to that than just he wants to win. There may be how he's personally wired. That person who is constantly throwing dice around the edge of the table, you might get annoyed at them and they might drop those dice and they might continuously, you know, just rattling in the hand and it might get annoying. But that might be how they stimulate themselves. It might be stimming. Which is something a lot of autistic people and a lot of people with anxiety can do stimming. It is a really soothing thing for that person. But I've rambled on so much about this. If you suffer from neurodivergent issues or you have mental health issues, I am always here to chat to. You can jump into the Discord server for Cinderful Gaming. You can message me on Discord, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you need to. I'm always here to chat about that sort of stuff. I've been through my own issues so much. I know this community is absolutely fantastic. What I would like everyone to do is, if you have had your own issues with mental health or you have your own neurodivergent issues and differences, is to either share your story or share this story or put your hand up saying, I am here to talk. It is a great thing we have in this community that is so accepting, that accepts everyone and anyone into our community. We are not free of it, but we are definitely a community that strives to be free of bigotry and hate and, you know, just general intolerance. And so this is another part of the community I think we can really do a lot to try and help. I know there are many fantastic people in the community that are great spokespersons for mental health and for neurodivergency. There are some people that do some fantastic events and some fantastic, you know, conventions and other things in the hobby for that side of the game. But anyway, that's enough of me rambling. I'd love to hear all your stories. If you do have any stories you'd wish to share, either comment down below, share this story, make your own video, tag me, share it, show it to me as well. I'd love to see everyone's stories that they have about this sort of issue. And yeah, I'd just love to hear from everyone and show that we are a wide and accepting community for everyone. Warhammer is for everyone, and let's make sure it stays that way. Cheers, everyone.